As I was saying, welcome everybody. My name is Álvaro González. Here we're going to talk about artificial intelligence and cybersecurity. Who am I? As I said, my name is Álvaro González. I graduated from University of Gloucester in cybersecurity and cyber and computer security. I also graduated in Spain in microsystems and networks in the IIT Fuencarral. And also I'm a member of the INCIBE bootcamp, that is the bootcamp from the National Cybersecurity Institute in Spain. So what topics we are gonna deal with in this session that is gonna be around 1 hour, 50 minutes, more or less. We're gonna talk about what is artificial intelligence, what are the traditional cybersecurity challenges that we face, how artificial intelligence are changing those challenges into better and worse ways. Also, we are going to check a little bit about how is the field of artificial intelligence into regulation in different countries, because a few weeks ago, we have a kind of interesting movements in Europe about it. And we are going to talk about how to developing cybersecurity strategies against attacks that they are performed by artificial intelligence. So if anybody has any doubt, please wait till the end, because we are going to have a Q&A section where we can explain them. Also, I will encourage everybody, if they can, please mute the microphone so everybody can hear everything. If you have any really acute doubt, don't worry, I'll mute the microphone and just say it to me. Perfect. So what is artificial intelligence? In our imaginary, what we have in our minds, what is artificial intelligence is the image that we see in the left side of the screen. That is this evil artificial intelligence that is trying to conquer all the world and kill all the humans, like for example in Terminator or Skynet. But in reality, is what we saw in the image, what we see in the image of the right is just a complex algorithm. Algorithms per se, they can be used for good things and bad things. The only conditional that they have to develop in one area or in other one is humans and how we train them. So what is let's gonna talk about a couple of definitions of what is artificial intelligence. The Oxford Dictionary defined artificial intelligence as the theory and development of computer systems able to perform tasks normally required by human intelligence, such as visual perception, speech recognition, decision making, and translation between languages. This definition is completely right, but there is a few things that I want to modify. It is true that artificial intelligence tries to emulate 100% the human way of thinking and imagining, if we can say that. But the main problem is, like, even as we don't know how that process of thinking is generated. We know that our brain works between multiple electric connections, but we don't understand perfectly how, like, this way of thinking and this the source of this knowledge and thinking. Some people say that is recognition of patterns and apply that information to take decisions. And that's what we try to emulate with artificial intelligence. In the end, is big chunks of data, break it in certain ways to be able to process it and have the most close response of the task that we ask for that artificial intelligence. As we can see in the definition, we see that visual perception, we already achieved that with, for example, with artificial intelligence like Dolly, Midjourney, and other kind of artificial intelligence that they generate visuals. We have also translation and text recognition and writing. Like, for example, is ChatGPT, one tool that is being like really popular during these couple of months. And in the end, we have a human intelligence. As I said, this is something that we are not able to reproduce yet, but maybe in the future with more powerful computers, we will be able to. And what is cybersecurity? Cybersecurity is the practice of protecting critical systems, sensitive information, and any kind of computer system that has personal information that it needs to be protected. So now knowing that what is both of it, let's gonna see what are the most challenges that we found in the cybersecurity field before the implementation of the AI or before the appearance of this more developed artificial intelligence. So long time ago in the 80s, 90s, cybersecurity was considered as something really niche, something that only big companies, they had to be aware of and take into consideration in. But lately, between the democratization of the internet and the democratization of the studies of computing, we found that more and more people, they start to have more knowledge about systems, networks, and in general programming between other fields in the IT. And that provokes that more and more people, they decide to have their own businesses, also to keep improving and adopting different technologies, but also the bad guys, they have more knowledge, they have they have more knowledge about these fields, and it's more easy to access. So if we see some data from the 90s to now, we can see that the attacks of different kinds have been increased. And these are one of the most representative attacks, that is like phishing attacks, where an attacker is trying to gain access or information with fake emails, trying to make the victim click on a link and then funnel into different techniques. Malware and ransom attacks, that they are different viruses and malware in general. More in the last 5 years, ransomware attacks has been one of the most trendy ones. Everybody here, we remember the WannaCry that paralyzed the NHS during few weeks. Also, the post offices, they were completely freeze, and it was kind of a head wrecker, we can say it. We have also DDoS attacks, that they are attacks that they try to poison a system, trying to get it down with multiple petitions or different attacks, try to overflow the system and make it down. Insider attacks, that there are people like workers or different entities that they are inside of our companies, and they try to be malicious in certain ways, stealing information, selling that information, stealing, for example, malware to destroy our systems, etc, etc, etc. So these ones are the most significant ones, but we also have some limitations with these ones. For example, we are really below the task of finding 0 days, that there are vulnerabilities or malware, more or less vulnerabilities, that we didn't knew that they were there. We didn't knew about their existence, and they represent a huge price for attackers if they are the first ones to detect them, so they can conserve more time, the owner of that vulnerability and the exploitation of it. Also, how we react and the approach to different attacks, this has been one of the most difficult ways to improve. As humans, we are the only animals that we step 2 times in the same stone, and it's really difficult to us to learn from an error or admit an error. So that makes us to identify these problems and not try to have them again. It's kind of difficult for us. And the lack of the integration of collaboration between security between collaboration and security tools. This means that not only between our security tools, like for example, malware or anything, but the lack of communication between professionals, that myself, people that they are not really into this field. There is always been a big gap there. As Chema Alonso, one of the biggest hackers in Spain, said, we create cybersecurity for nerds. We don't create cybersecurity for the rest of the people that they don't understand properly how it works. That's one of the most limited things that limits this field during this time. But now we have another problem, that is artificial intelligence, and the threat that even though they don't, this artificial intelligence doesn't replicate one-to-one the human brain, is more powerful than a human brain. Artificial algorithms can analyze largest volumes of information from various sources, like for example, logs, traffic networks, chats, different kind of like encrypted data. Could be that this artificial intelligence. When I say this artificial intelligence, I don't mean one specific. I mean in general the technology. They can get and then analyze it. It can learn to identify patterns, anomalies, different ways of repetitive information that maybe a human brain or a human eye is more difficult to identify. Artificial intelligence, they can do it like really fast and really efficient. So apart from the backsteps that we have, well, the problems that we have through the traditional cybersecurity, now with artificial intelligence, we have more things to be worried about. So what is the dangers of the cybersecurity? As I said, they can process faster information. So that will make really easy to different attackers to improve into the finger and footprinting, that they are the first stages of a cyber attack, where the attackers, they recollect information from the objective, from, for example, the company or individual life, or different ways of information. Like, for example, if you need an NFC card to enter into your building, they will check the brand of the reader and everything, and that with artificial intelligence, it will be more faster. I remember a couple of days doing a couple of tests with ChatGPT, requiring some information about, for example, a type of attack that affects the memory, the internal memory, and overflows it. And in less than 3 seconds, I already had a full guide where it explains me step by step how I can perform that attack and how I can do it without detection. This is not only one of the problems. We have more of them, like, for example, more sophisticated phishing attacks. Every day, I bet that every single person that is here in this meeting, they receive different emails saying like, oh, I don't know, you win a MacBook Pro, or there is a prince in some part of the world that wants to give you part, or he wants to get out part of his treasure, and he will give you a little bit from you to you if you help him. There are a lot of them. Funny enough, these kind of phishing emails, they are still quite effective, but with artificial intelligence, they are getting more and more sophisticated. So is the point that sometimes it's really difficult to differentiate, like, what is an email written by a human being and what is an email written by artificial intelligence. Plus, we have another problem, that is, if this artificial intelligence is trained in marketing strategies or in other different kind of like social engineering strategies, they can make really convincing emails about an offer, or like, for example, a job offer, a business opportunity, or even it can be trying to fool a person, saying that is your friend for a long time, that you've been without having contact since university, and he wants to have a coffee with you. is the artificial intelligence is getting in this point like really advanced. And in a few slides ahead, I'm gonna show you like an example of an email that I generated and few tips how to detect them. Also, one of the problems is the faster automatization of the attacks. Like I remember when I was in university, if I wanted to do a DDoS attack, it will take my time to prepare everything, generate different bots and everything, then to perform the attack. But now with artificial intelligence, if I train it in 10 minutes, I can generate an attack like in less than 5. So it's really interesting, but also really dangerous. And last but not least, better scans and treatment of information. That not only means, for example, information that you will find on internet, like for example, the address of your company, the last documents that you uploaded to internet, or for example, the amount of employees that you have in your company. I mean, more insightful information, like for example, scans from your network, scans from your devices. Maybe if this attacker gain access to a server, scan the whole server to find more juicy data, etc, etc, etc. So as you can see, there are like a lot of problems, but we don't. There are a lot of opportunities, a lot of problems. But how is the governments and the regulation of these technologies? Honestly, not good, not bad, but we are starting to see some little steps. In many countries, for example, they have installed already some guidance of how to use artificial intelligence. For example, Google has already developed a couple of ways of engines to detect if the text is generated from artificial intelligence or not, trying to cut fake news and also trying to cut artificial intelligence content that it could be used for marketing usage. For example, in the United States, National Institutes of Standard Technology, the NIST, they already published their own guidelines of how use artificial intelligence in cybersecurity, because it could be really beneficial to detect some patterns. The European Union is starting to think about they have a project debating right now about creating different categorization of artificial intelligence. So in each category that artificial intelligence will fall, that artificial intelligence will have to follow some rules. Like for example, knowing that the GDPR is required, well, not required, that they are applying the guidelines of the GDPR. Or for example, if it's like more technical analysis, like a usage for automatization into networks of electrical networks, for example, knowing that artificial intelligence, they need to be disconnected from internet. That will be another procedure that they want to put, etc, etc, etc. In other countries, like for example, China, Singapore, the regulation of cybersecurity, they have more tough legislation. Like for example, Chinese government has been using for years one artificial intelligence called Skynet, like Terminator, that is honestly watching the citizens, making sure that everybody follows the rules of the government. And with that, they establish, I don't know if you hear about, but it's completely true and it's really scary, this social, the economy is not the word I want to say, the social score, really similar to a credit score, that if the artificial intelligence and the different workers that work with that catch a citizen like doing one thing or like I don't know, throwing a paper into the street instead of a garbage can, or all their activities that they were negligent to the society, their social score will get low. So some of them, they will not be able to apply for a mortgage, for example, or going out from the country. And that's done helped by artificial intelligence. Also, lately we've been hearing that Italy has been banned ChatGPT, but there is some news that maybe it will return soon, because the government of Italy was really worried about how the ChatGPT handles the privacy and the GDPR from the European GDPR with them. Spain also has been asked for the European Union to investigate and discuss how ChatGPT treats respects the information of the GDPR or not, how it could be affected by. So as you can see, like even though cybersecurity even though artificial intelligence is a really new technology, governments, they are starting to regulate it, and we are starting to see some kind of indicatives of how will be the future of the artificial intelligence. But right now, without any mark of legislation properly set on a stone, we have to be really, really careful. So how we can be protected? The first thing that we need to do is to identify the potential cyber attack vectors, such as phishing attacks, malware, social engineering, etc., etc., etc. There are a lot of ways that an attacker can use artificial intelligence to improve their attacks. Like, for example, in social engineering, there's been already it was not an attack, but it was something that it was like really, really peculiar. User from ChatGPT asked the artificial intelligence to make as much money, like I think it was $50-$60, I cannot remember exactly, but do as much money as the artificial intelligence could do in a period of time. So many of the websites that this artificial intelligence try to log in, they have a CAPTCHA. And as you know, these CAPTCHAs are designed to try to avoid these kind of behaviors or this kind of bot activities in our websites. But the artificial intelligence generate a strategy contacting a website in United States that makes has different kind of jobs, like side jobs, and asking to that person, like, please, I need to fill this CAPTCHA, but I cannot do it because I'm a person who has who is blind, so I cannot see properly the CAPTCHA. I have a really poor vision, and it worked. Suddenly, we found that confirmed one of the most scary things in the IT, and it's the first time that artificial intelligence can trick a human mind to make sure to show him that or to show that person that is a person and not a machine. That's called the Turing test, and it's one of the first indicatives where we can see that this kind of artificial intelligence, they are getting really, really advanced. So how first is identifying this artificial intelligence, these vector attacks that artificial intelligence they can be subject to, like, for example, as I said, phishing, malware, social engineering. The next one is develop a plan and defending against these attacks, and not only specializing artificial intelligence attacks, also attacks from other vectors, like, for example, hackers or other kind of different attackers that we can find. If the company can and the person can, also is really interested to start to implementing artificial intelligence security systems. There are already a lot of systems, like, for example, Bitdefender, that they use artificial intelligence to detect certain patterns or detect certain flags in malware and make the procurement for the cybersecurity professionals more faster and be able to react faster in that way. And the most important thing is train your employees or train yourselves how to recognize potential artificial cyber attacks and establish some protocols and protocols to recover from that incident. As I said previously, I'm going to show you this example that is the email that I generated trying to convince a person to click on a link. As you can see, I put in ChatGPT, generate me an email convincing someone to click on my offer. So we can see like, don't miss out this incredible offer they are receiving, blah, 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 blah. We have a really well-structured mail that if we retocate a little bit, if we change certain things, it could be a really great email to use into a marketing strategy. But this email, as I said, it was created with the intention of someone to click on a link that it will be infected with malicious code or like with different kind of or link with a different kind of attacks that you can use in near future. And as you can see, there is this is the template that is completely really crafted and created. If I were reading this email, I will not detect if it's like a machine that is generating this email or if it's a human being that is behind of this email. So how we can more or less see little difference about a text that is generated by artificial intelligence and a text that is created by a human. So these are the 5 steps that you will have to check. Repetitive patterns. All artificially generated texts, they contain like a lot of repetitive patterns, phrases, words that usually are strange for humans. I remember once when I generated, what it was, I don't remember correctly, but it was fixated with the word agreement, and every 3 or 5 paragraphs you will see agreement, agreement, agreement. So that's one of the first clues that you can have. One of the second clue is the unnatural language. Even though ChatGPT in the last version has improved a lot, sometimes you can see that the phrases or the sentence, the structure is like, I don't want to say really robotic, but more or less it's really strange. You have the feeling that it's crafted by something that is not natural. As a person speaks or forms to write, so you can see that it's really well structured. Like you will notice that it's like almost artificial, like it is. So that's another clue that you can look for into emails that you receive lately. The other clue is lack of coherence. As you know, artificial intelligence, when you ask to write a test or to generate something, rescue those words and then compare it in a big database that it has internally. So sometimes it's really difficult to make sure that the coherence of the text or the consistency of the text are the same, because as you said, you know, there's a lot of information that is fed in this artificial intelligence. So maybe you can be talking about cybersecurity in one topic, but then the artificial intelligence decide to mix it with another topic. So you will find those lack of coherence quite easily. I will say that that's one of the most important points. Detecting artificial intelligence, text generated by artificial intelligence. But nowadays, the ChatGPT is trained in a different way, and the skills in text has improved a lot. Unusual errors, like for example, mistakes in misspellings, grammatical mistakes. These kind of mistakes, you could find them more properly in the first versions of text-generated artificial intelligence, but nowadays it's really difficult to see those. Maybe in really specific works that they are like really tailored for certain topics, you will find there that there are some errors, but in general speaking, like you will find some of them, but also you can associate them with a bad grammar or a misspelling from a writer. Finally, but not least, lack of context. What is the difference between coherence and lack of context? Context is the plot that we are talking about. Like, for example, now we are talking about artificial intelligence and cybersecurity. It will be really strange that I start to talk about pandas, for example. But coherence is like how the text is linked between paragraph and paragraph, and you can see the difference. The lack of context in artificial intelligence is really subtle. You will see that it starts really strong with the point that you for example, as a lecturer, is being identified the text, but slightly, little by little, it will change to another topic or the same topic, but it's slightly different. And that will be another clue of how to identify a text, cybersecurity. But there is not the only difficulties that we found nowadays. As I said previously, so artificial intelligence is able to manage and identify a lot of information and process a lot of information, and that includes passwords. Even though a system or the majority of systems that we use, the passwords are encrypted and they are secure. Like if someone attacks and grabs those passwords, they will not be able to see what's the password because it's encrypted. But now with artificial intelligence, they've been like several reports of attackers that they are starting to use train AIs to decrypt that passwords. For example, NASPAS is one of the artificial intelligence that is being created and trained to get passwords more easily. And one of the ways that, well, several of the ways that you can minimize this threat is like first using one password per account. I know that is really difficult to remember all these kind of passwords. So I will recommend you to use a system, a personal assistant, like for example, using 3 random words, but for example, something that is close to your environment. Numbers also, capital, non-capital, and also symbols, and that you have a quite a strong password. If you don't have the mind to remember those quantity of passwords, like me, for example, I recommend you using virtual keychains, like for example, Dashlane or 1Password, where you have all the passwords protected by a master password, and then you will have different passwords for different websites or different programs, different documents, whatever you need. The NCSC has to use 3 random words, like for example, capital for generating a strong password using capitals, numbers, symbols, as I said. If you follow the advice that I give you, or the advice of the NCSC, you will have a password that is like quite long. That means that if someone tries to decrypt it with artificial intelligence, it's gonna take longer, maybe years or centuries, to be able to decrypt that password. And also you make sure that in case of someone being trying different passwords, that we call that a brute force attack, you will avoid that. For example, if you use house 123, a lot of people is gonna try to use that password one of the first ones to gain access to your account. So, as I said, try to use one different password for different accounts. Try to use a system, or try to use password managers, like for example, Dashlane or 1Password. And as you can see here, this is data from 2022 about how much time it will take a password with different characters to be decrypted with the different system that we have. Nowadays, the systems with artificial intelligence have advanced a little bit more. So there is a chance that these numbers, as you can see, they've been lower. Like, for example, if you have a 12 digit password with only numbers, the average time to decrypt this kind of password is 2 seconds. If you use upper and lower case, look how it increased 24 years. That means that a computer will need to be checking this algorithm, checking the hash of the password encrypted for 24 years to get access to your password. And if we, as you can see, if we get more complex passwords with more complex with more characters, we have incredibly secure passwords. Who is gonna be 4,067 billion of years trying to guess a password? Nobody. Maybe a computer, but we will not be there, so it's not worth it. So another tip that I can give you to be secure and create a responsive plan against cyber attacks with artificial intelligence is monitor your information, the information of the company. Why is that? As I said previously, ChatGPT and another artificial intelligence, they gather information to train themselves. So nowadays that all the companies, they have partial information or a lot of information online is a really big hazard. For example, sorry, I see that I see a question here. Could you please repeat the names of the password managers? Yes, is Dashlane or One Password? I will write it here. Here, oh, well, it's a one, no exclamation mark. Sorry, where I was. Oh yes. As I said, nowadays the information that you expose to the information that you put online has been increased by the years. So that information can be gathered for this artificial intelligence to train them and be part of the system. So you have to be really careful to not publish any sensitive data from the company into internet. And most importantly, I know that a lot of people, they are using ChatGPT to generate documents, generate, for example, emails, generate quick messages for different clients or potential clients. So be really, really careful to not put any sensitive data, not only from the company, also from outside of the company. I mean, your personal data, name, phone, clients' phones, clients' names, etc, etc. Why? Because this data, even though you are asking to an artificial intelligence to generate data for you, at the same time, you are giving some data, like, for example, write an email to my client in Worcester that has a truck company. That's information that the artificial intelligence will store and use it to train themselves apart from the previous information that it has. So we have to be really, really thoughtful about which information we need to use in these tools, because they can be used against us. Again, a few weeks ago, there was an article about some hackers in California that they were using artificial intelligence to mine data inside of ChatGPT to extract all the data. And also they found that several high directives from different companies in Palo Alto, they've been using ChatGPT to craft emails that they were quite sensitive, not because of sensitive of other nature, but sensitive for the company, treating like marketing problems or structural problems, and that information was already stored there. So the attackers, they didn't need to hack into those companies to gain access from them, because already the companies gave willingly that information. So try to minimize the exposure of your company on internet. Try to only publish what is minimum requirement too. For example, don't publish accounts, phone numbers that are not indispensary, employees or workers that they are not indispensary to be shown as a public face. Try to avoid the link, the feed of important documents into artificial intelligence, and also try to, apart from that, try to limit the leakage of information of a company through the internet. And I'm not saying that feed that information, try to avoid to feed that information into artificial intelligence. I mean, in general basis, try to avoid to have leakages through internet, passwords, phone numbers, personal names, personal accounts, etc. They could be subject for these attackers to be look. This information is subject to be look for these attackers and try to find it. So, and they will use definitely artificial intelligence to find it. As I said, don't put personal information or sensitive information in ChatGPT. So, what we that's the main points that I want you to make it clear during this presentation. Why there are more? Because artificial intelligence is still a developing technology. It's really difficult to know in which path it's gonna go. And one of the disadvantages of being in the good side of cybersecurity with the good guys, as we say, is that bad guys, they also have these tools and they are usually faster to apply to them. So in a future, what we will see in future developments, we will see that artificial intelligence and cybersecurity will continue to grow, and likely will be the regulations for cybersecurity for artificial intelligence will be incremented. Also, we will have a better and deep understanding about artificial intelligence and how we can merge with different systems so we can protect from malicious artificial intelligence. As I said, this will include new standard guides, also scrutiny into the ethical and privacy implication of artificial intelligence, and use these ethical and privacy implications. Definitely, they will be implied in cybersecurity system based in artificial intelligence. And the most important thing is that organization that they will future base the cybersecurity in artificial intelligence is that they need to stay up to date. Not only them, also us right now, about the different regulations, the different new systems, the different new threats that they occur nowadays. So to sum up, what we need to do to be secure in cybersecurity, against artificial intelligence is like, first, minimize the information that you publish on internet about your company or your personal life. Second, please make sure that all your passwords, they are protected, they are secure, they are strong enough to be they are strong enough to support an artificial intelligence attack that they could be decrypted in a few seconds if you don't use really secure passwords. Third, make sure that you don't put any personal information on all their different artificial intelligence, because we don't know how they train for it. And final but not least, try to implement this information that I gave you today into your company. Talk with your IT colleagues, talk with your cybersecurity experts, and make sure that they took into account that how artificial intelligence is is developing. Ask them if they have any plans, any plans or any protocols established in case of an attack like this that hits your company. And please, if you feel that you have any attack or you suffer any of attack, as I said, and I always finish and I inquire to do this at the end of each presentation. If you feel that your company has suffered any cyber attack, has been suffered any fraud, any kind of steal information, please contact to the National Fraud and Cybercrime Report Center. They will guide you what to do. Also, please contact to the FCA. No, what was the organism that regulates the GDPR? Well, I'm sorry, I'm completely on white right now. But yeah, use the action fraud because they will guide you step by step, and they will help you how to proceed and what to do, and also they will give you any support as much as you need. So we have 10 minutes left. So thank you everybody for coming. Now it's time to have some questions. If you have any doubts about how cybersecurity is going to affect us in the future, how it's going to affect us in our cybersecurity systems, and how we can react. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of the things you didn't mention, Alvaro, yes. You don't come from the regulatory side, but for people who are regulated by the FCA, cybersecurity breaches are likely to be enforced by the FCA.
Yes,
whose remit knows no bounds. They now deal with Information Commissioner's Office. Don't even bother to pursue people now. They just who are regulated. They pass the file over to the FCA, who do the regulation for the ICO, for the Information Commissioner's Office. So yes. That's what happens if you leave somebody's personal data on a
exactly
on a USB stick on a train.
Exactly.
Next thing you know, you got the FCA on your back.
Exactly. That's the regulatory that I was looking for, because I was trying to remember, and it's the FCA. As a rule of thumb, as Charlie said, if you talking about GDPR, if you notice that some kind of information that it could be it could be bad for some person, like perjudicial. Sorry by my Spanish accent. It could be they could be bad for that person, like for example the leak of his phone number, email, or any kind of information that it could affect negatively to that person. It will be better to report to the FCA, to the regulatory, the ones that they are the regulatory basis, because it's better to report this kind of little information leakage before they launch an investigation and find out that you didn't report this kind of information. It could be really negative for the company. Like you can spend time in jail, big fees, and other different troubles that we don't want you to suffer. We have here another question from Damian. More about comment. The bad system use the authenticator process. It's excellent. Can it make it stronger? Yes. As David Harold said, in bad software we use two-factor authentication and other different, and there are different ways to double identify a person. Right now, the ones that we're using is like using a third application that generates a random code, and then that random code has to be put into the system, so you will be able to access to your bad software account. There are different nowadays. There are different ways to double identify a person. Like for example, taking biometric points of the finger or in the face. Like for example, the iPhones they do. But the main problem here is like we have to have a balance between complexity, fair use of the technology, and also requirement. Right now, artificial intelligence is not able to gain access to your phone, get that code, and then put it, and then gain access to your account. Maybe in the future, yes, but we are speaking about some kind of Jules Verne theorization of how the artificial intelligence will be able. But yeah, apart from the tip that I can give you to make it more strong is like try not to use a similar password. If you can try to change your password every 2 or 3 days, that plus the two-factor authentication, 3 days, sorry, 3 months, plus plus the two-factor authentication, you will make your account be really, really strong. Okay, we have time for a couple of more questions.
Hi, I have a couple of questions.
Yeah.
The first question is about the emails. If you receive an email which you're not sure whether it's from, a spam or whether from it looks like a genuine source, but if
Mhm.
you're not sure whether it's from the real person or if it's just tracking, or trapping email. So how to safely check it or view it?
That's a really good question. Like phishing emails have been evolved a lot during the last years, and it's more complex to detect them. One easy way to detect them is if you have the feeling that that email is not like it's probably a spam or anything, try to double verify with the person that it sends that email. But try to double verify it, not sending another email, because that person maybe their email is affected or he doesn't realize that he's being hacked by another person and has ownership of that email account. So try to give a call or try to ask a colleague. But I will say to give a call to that person and don't click off any link before you confirm the identity of the sender of that email. Another ways to use it is like try to check into the email sender if it's the same email that usually you have contact with that person or not, and also see if that email has been sent to a lot of people, because if it's sent to a lot of people, like maybe 10 12 people is okay, but 50 100, that's a little bit suspicious. That indicates that there's an indicative that maybe is trying to recollect data from a lot of people.
And the second question is, would you recommend a safe email software that can be used? Like solicitors, they particularly use one email where the client, when we receive the email, we have to go to that website and it's an encrypted email. So is there any similar software? Because Outlook or these are normally not as secure. They are more, prone to phishing. So
Yeah. Well, like lucky for us, Outlook systems and also Gmail systems, they have been advanced a lot, and they have actually artificial intelligence that they detect like spam emails, but they are quite secure. But that doesn't mean that they are 100% secure. Like I cannot recommend something because nothing is going to be 100% secure. But if you want to improve your security through emails, I will recommend Proton Mail, PRONTON Mail. They have they have a really strong structure and really strong rules against spam and phishing email. Plus, they have a few techniques used to avoid them, like for example the two signatures, where you have a signature and other person have a signature and they compare. It's not like the signatures that you see best wishes. It's a cryptological signature that is inside of the email. So that will be an option if you want to reduce risks. But nowadays, if you train your employees or you take 5 minutes before clicking on any link of any email that is sent you, it will help you a lot and reduce a lot of risks in general.
thank you. And my last question is about
Yes.
the portable discs. The one that we can carry with us. So is a BitLocker, is it the safe way or is there something else we should be using?
It really depends. If you are going to transport really sensitive information, like for example, bank account numbers or other kind of sensitive information, I will definitely recommend to encrypt that pen drive. BitLock is a good starter. There are a few more in the market, but now I cannot remember because BitLock is the biggest one and is one of the that is being used for more time. But as a rule of thumb, I will say that if that's information is really sensitive to transport it, better not to transport at all. But I understand that different businesses have different requirements and different necessities. So if you are going to transport any information that is like really sensitive, try to encrypt the flash drives or the hard disks. Try to have it like close to you. Don't have it in a pocket that anybody can pick it from it, and make sure that you are aware of where is that flash drive every single time, because if you drop it or anything, it would be a problem.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, in the meantime, I just go for one final question.
Yes.
It's about, these days, the customers, they sometimes, mostly they find it easy to send their documents and information on WhatsApp.
Sorry, can you
We
repeat
just-
the last bit, please?
The WhatsApp app,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
So WhatsApp, is it safe and how it should, is it okay to, is it safer to keep those, because these are automatically stored on the phone,
Mhm.
when they send you a picture or anything. So how to make it more secure?
That's a really interesting question, but sadly there is not a proper way to reply it, because here we have find two problems. First one is you are using a third party of communication that is WhatsApp, that it belongs to Facebook. So in theory, Facebook has to make sure that they follows the GDPR, like encrypting the information that you have on your that it is transport between the channels, and also that they are into the internal servers of them. But at the same time, you have the responsibility as your own person and as a part of the business, that if you are using a third channel of communication, you need to be sure, 100% sure, that channel is following the GDPR, that there are good storage protocols and everything. So it's a pickle there. I will say that if it's a picture of some kind of information related to the company, but it's not a really vital one, like for example, passwords, accounts, or other kind of information, I will say that it's okay. And what I will recommend is like lock your phone with biometrical features. Try to in the screen that when it's blocked doesn't show, that's not show the messages, like only show like, oh, you have a message of WhatsApp, but not a little preview that usually has. And make sure not lose the phone. And also, if you are connected to public Wi-Fi when you are speaking about this sensitive information, even though you are using a channel like WhatsApp, try to use a VPN just in case.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. So I think we have time for one more question.
Can I ask something? Can you hear me?
Yes.
This is Sandra Kelly Payne. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, thank you. It wasn't showing up very well. Yes, just a couple of questions, really. Firstly, I was rather concerned because some years ago, when a website designer was redoing my actual website, he stupidly put my business email, my personal business email, if you see what I mean, instead of info at, and the domain name. Well, that seems to have gone global because he did that. And then a few years later, we had LinkedIn, got a number of our emails, and one of them was actually mine. Now I get all sorts of, horrid spam emails. I've got a persistent hacker he says he's a hacker and obviously wants me to pay him in Bitcoins.
Yes.
And I just keep deleting them as junk. But I mean, I'm you know, I've always been very vigilant about security issues when you're dealing with as many clients as we are, and they're all their sensitive information. So as I say, I have got another business email, but do you think, which will be very difficult, but do you think I should just ditch my, you know, my most common, you know, unusual email because it's had all these problems?
Can I answer that?
Yeah, go on.
Yeah.
I think there is a theory that you can set up a Gmail account, you know, and you can almost set up one every 3 or 4 years, or one if you want to sign up to something online, because you get the same problem if you sign up to, you know, you want to get some information off the web, they say, oh, could you sign up? And so there is a theory you set up another Gmail account, you know, Sandra 1, Sandra 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then go back and either delete them or get them to forward on. So your existing one, you could then set rules for forwarding on emails. So that's one way of doing it. The emails that you want, so you put into a safe sender list or something. But yeah, ultimately, you're probably going to have to ditch that email and start another one. But you can always look back once a week, once a month into the old email account and filter out what you can get.
Because there's a thing, I don't know if it is genuine, but there's a thing on the internet that says, have you been pawned? PWNED. And then it tells you if your email has been breached, you know, has had a data breach on it. And if you tap in all your emails, they're sort of all, you know, whether it's Hotmail account or whatever, they all seem to be, and you know, that they're all stating that they have been breached by hackers.
Yeah, that website is actually legit. Like I use it for
legit, right?
Yes, I use it for when I perform our cybersecurity evaluations in bad software. I use it personally to check if any email or any, apart from other tools that I use, to see if any email has been leaked or any password has been leaked. So it's a good way, and it's a good indicator if someone wants to check if their security has been breached. And as Charlie said, the solution that he proposed about like creating different emails and then set rules, it will be like kind of a band-aid to the problem, but ultimately I agree with Charlie, you will have to ditch that email. I know that is a really pain in the neck, because you build relationship with your contacts and everything.
But it keeps on going, because you inevitably register for things all the time, you know. Oh, that's interesting, let's have a look at that. So of course you don't know what's happened to that. You leave them your email, you don't know what, that's it, it's gone, you know, somebody's got it, they can use it.
Got to leave that email, really, because, you know, I've had clients for many years, and sometimes you don't, you know, they catch up after a few years, and
well, you can do forwarding, so you can get that email to forward on,
and then forward it to a new. Well, as I say, I have got another email which I use a lot, which I've just, you know, I've just added my surname initials on. But thank you for that. I just wanted to ask, because I try to be, this is just a second question also about security. I try to be, as I say, very vigilant. I keep the majority of client data on external encrypted drives. Now, for years, an old compliance firm I used to deal with, they came up with one, they recommended to me one that they use, which is called Storage Crypt. And it was just excellent. You plug in, you know, it's on your plug-in on your USB, and then it asks you for the password, which you put in, and then later on you can just unencrypt it. Now, I've got a fairly new laptop, so I went to, you know, pay for another program on the internet, and then I couldn't pay for it because it was saying that there was a security issue. So now I'm absolutely floored, because I don't know what to do about this, because I also my main PC, which was corrupted the other week just through an update. So I took it to the computer hospital here, and I was telling them about this issue about, how do, shall I continue using storage crypt anyway on my old laptop? And he said, I wouldn't like to do that. He said, because, if something goes wrong, you're never going to, say you have tapped in your correct password and something goes wrong, you've nobody to fall back on. So he recommended BitLocker, which I'm afraid I don't get on with at all. I mean, it just seems so much more complicated, a long-winded process to this storage crypt, where you just whacked in the external drive and away you went. So I mean, would you, if you know the password, would you carry on using the program, which is on my old laptop, as I say, or I mean, in all honesty, I've been using it for years anyway, but there is nobody to contact. You can't, if things did go wrong, but surely could that system, as long as you know your password, I don't know, well, it's a difficult question to ask you and answer. Could that go wrong? Because if it goes wrong, and even though you've tapped in the correct password,
Yes.
And it just sort of like that corrupts, then that's all your data goes. So I don't know.
That's the main thing that I'm worried about, because as you say, like your other computer is being compromised or the data has been corrupt, so you don't have.
Oh, but this is yeah, but the that was all rectified, but I'm talking about my old laptop now, that the program, the storage crypt, encryption program is on that one. It's not, I was trying to get it to put onto my new system, which, as I say, it's not on there because it wouldn't let me pay for it because it said there was a security issue. So, but would you carry on using on your old laptop? The program's still on there, but if, even though I know the password, and then say one day I tapped in the password and it say there was a corruption, but then surely that could happen on any encryption service, couldn't it?
That's the thing. This is a really slight problem. I don't know that program at all. I always been with BitLock, and the thing is, like, if that data you don't have a backup from that data, and the program, for any reason, like you forget the password, or like you put wrongly the password and the data get completely encrypted or like corrupted, there's not any chance to recover that data again.
No, but ironically, I had a corruption when I was backing up the master to the backup external drive, and that corrupted. That was nothing to do with the encryption service. It just corrupted, and it's on an external drive I would never use again. And I've heard that they are, they are prone to do that. But I don't use that brand anymore. But it's so difficult. But so, are you saying it would be okay then? I hear what you're saying, that if I forgot the password, blah blah. But are you saying
what I'm trying to say, and I will recommend, is like first talk with your IT department to see if that data can be
I am the IT department most of the time.
Oh, okay. Well,
yeah, except if I go to what I call my IT computer hospital, which is down the road from me.
Let's gonna do, because this is a really deep topic that I need to think about it. I can you send me your email and I will give a thought and reply to you? 'Cause it's-
Yes, yeah, thank you very much. That would be
Okay,
very.
there's another
Can I get-
question from Zulfika. Should we sell, what happens with the old devices? So you end up with an attic full of old computers.
Yes.
What do you actually do with them? Should you, how do you get rid of them? I live on
I'm
a
just
farm, so I
doing
just
that.
buried them, but
I'm just
what do other
doing
people
that at
do?
the moment. I'm
First, you may
the shredding place.
Go on, Alvaro, you need to go on.
yeah. First, you need to erase all the hard drives. Like make sure that it's well erased, or take it out. Use something to make holes into the. It's mandatory. It sounds like a joke, but it's
Is a
mandatory.
sledgehammer easier?
Yeah.
No, a sledgehammer, I think you can recover some data from it, but it's by the GDPR is categorized that when you have.
So don't give it to the dustbin men then.
No, like you can sell the rest of the computer, or like if you talk with your IT department, they will make sure that the hard disks they have a 000 erase. That means that nothing will be recovered. But if you cannot do that, like the best thing is like destroy the hard disk, like put some holes and throw it away, and then sell the rest if you want.
There are companies that shred the hard drives.
Yes, there are companies that they dispose the
Yeah.
cybersecurity data, like doing a magnet radiation to the hard disk and then destroy them.
Yeah. But the
Good.
thing
We're going to
is-
have to bring things to a head, I think. I mean, I only advertised this for an hour.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
Maybe for the next session, like it would need to be 2 hours.
Thank you very much.
You're
anyway.
welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you everybody to participate and for all the questions.